Hi everybody, and welcome to Lovefraud Live. So, you felt like something was off about your romantic partner for a long time, but you could never quite figure out what it was. And then, suddenly and harshly, you learned the truth. Now what? I'm Donna Andersen, author of Lovefraud.com, and tonight we'll talk about what to do when you finally see what's behind the mask. Here's the bottom line. When you discover the appalling truth, do not confront the sociopath. This is a live streaming show, of course, and I will answer your questions at the end of this presentation. So please send them to me as we go along. And you can also use our super chat function to ask your questions. All right, so let's get started. The mask has slipped, or maybe totally shattered. You discover that your partner is cheating on you, or forged your signature to open up credit cards in your name, or has kids you never knew about, maybe even grandkids, or is only pretending to go to work every day and actually stays home selling drugs, or is married to someone else. However it happened, you learn that your partner has betrayed you. Your first instinct is to confront your partner and demand answers. Don't do it. Now, this is really hard and takes tremendous self-control, but trust me, it's the best approach. When you learn what is really going on, the best thing you can do is nothing, at least temporarily. Do not lash out. Do not start asking questions. Instead, no matter how angry and hurt you are, pretend that nothing has changed. Now, why should you do this? Because when sociopaths know the jig is up, they engage in all kinds of destructive behavior. Here are 11 actions that the sociopath may take. Number 1, wipe out any joint checking accounts or steal any remaining assets. 2, destroy evidence that you need, such as documents and computer files. 3, launch or intensify a smear campaign against you. 4, talk circles around you, convincing you that you're wrong and you didn't see what you saw. 5, cry crocodile tears in an effort to appeal to your sympathy. 6, fly into a rage and destroy your property. 7, fabricate criminal charges, such as accusing you of domestic violence. 8, claim that you're insane and try to get you committed to a mental institution. 9, engage in physical violence, hurting you, your children, or your animals. 10, disappear, taking your money and property with him. And 11, drop all pretense of being your sweet romantic partner and turn blatantly miserable, cruel, and vindictive. So, do not react. What you need to do now is gather more information and think carefully about your next move. It's best to do this while the sociopath doesn't know that you know the truth. You need to become the world's greatest actress or actor and pretend that nothing has changed. I actually did this instinctively when I discovered that my ex-husband, James Montgomery, was cheating on me. And this was before I knew he was a sociopath. Here's what happened. Back in 1999, when the Titanic was still a phenomenon, we planned to develop a Titanic exhibit. It was the latest in my husband's long line of get-rich-quick schemes. Montgomery told me that he had worked out a deal to open the exhibit in Florida. So we packed up all our exhibit materials and much of our house and moved 1,000 miles from New Jersey to Florida. After I'd been in Orlando for about 6 weeks, I learned that Montgomery lied to me. There was no deal. He dragged me to Florida for no reason. I was in shock. Then he told me that he had made an appointment to go to New York and sell all the Titanic artifacts that we'd collected. So I wanted to kill this thing, the deal, so I spent the last money on my credit card to buy him a plane ticket to go back to my house in New Jersey so that he could go on to New York. And when he left, I discovered evidence that not only had he lied to me, not only was he cheating on me, but he'd had a child with another woman during our marriage. I was devastated and in turmoil. But Montgomery, at that very moment, was flying back to my house in New Jersey. I didn't want him to trash the place, and I didn't want him to steal anything. So when he called me, I said nothing. I asked him if he had a good flight. When he asked how I was, I said I was fine. In the meantime, I'd been packing up everything in our Florida apartment, getting ready to leave as soon as I knew he was on his way back to Orlando. That's the short version of what happened. If you want to know the whole juicy story, and believe me, it's a wild one, it's all in my first book called Lovefraud. And sometime between now and the end of the year, my story will be on the TV channel Investigation Discovery on a new program called Love, Honor, and Betray. As soon as I know the broadcast date, I'll be sure to let everybody know about it. Anyway, the bottom line is that if you're involved with a sociopath, the only really reasonable thing to do is extricate yourself from the relationship. But doing that safely while protecting your assets, your family, and your property may require planning. Here are 7 steps that you may need to take. First, make plans to move out, preferably when the sociopath isn't around. Second, move your money into a new bank account that the sociopath can't access. Third, go to the police and/or find a lawyer. Fourth, make copies of important documents such as mortgages and deeds, health insurance information, and credit card statements. 5, gradually move valuables to a safe location. 6, back up your computers and hard drives. And 7, line up friends and family members to help you escape. When you learn the appalling truth of the sociopath's behavior, it's a game changer. You see, you were always part of a game that the sociopath was playing, but you didn't know it. Now you do. So at the moment, when you first discover the betrayal, you have an advantage. The sociopath doesn't know that you know. You should maintain that advantage as long as you can in order to plan your escape. So that's the presentation for tonight. Next, I'll answer your questions. And as I've mentioned before, we've implemented Super Chat on this YouTube show, which offers you the opportunity to contribute to Lovefraud's work. And we've received a bunch of donations so far. I really appreciate all of them. If you'd like to support us, all you have to do is click the $ in the chat window below the where you type your chat and slide the button to the amount that you'd like to contribute. There's also a link in the description below this video window where if you want to make a tax-deductible contribution to Lovefraud's education programs, you can do that. So, see what kind of questions we may have today. So Cheryl says, as my forensic accountant used to say, don't telegraph your punches. And that's absolutely the best thing to do. It can be pretty messy trying to figure out what's going on, and the more time that you have to investigate, to find things, to round up all your materials, to make things safe, the better off you are. You do really need to play things very close to the chest, and that's something that you have to do throughout the process of getting away from a sociopath. You do not, I recommend not making threats unless you absolutely intend to carry them out, because then you tell what you may do, and you don't want to do that. You want to be able to, when you have to make a move and hit them hard, you have to hit them hard. Okay, so let's see if we have anything else. So Josie says that's the scary part, their vindictiveness and potential for violence. Yeah, as long as the sociopath feels that there's still something to gain, they can keep a lid on their behavior. I've heard from people who've been married for 20 years, 30 years, and although it was kind of traumatic, they didn't really get the scope of what was going on until one time where all of a sudden the double life is discovered. And at that point, all pretense was gone. The sociopath didn't even try anymore, and sometimes they are vindictive and violent, and so then that's something that you definitely need to worry about. Okay. Oh, Angel Marie, thanks for I'm excited about this show on investigation discovery. It's going to be pretty cool. We did the filming back in May, and so sometime between now and the end of the year, it should be there. So looking forward to that. Oh, okay. So Josie asked, do you think they can sense and intuitively know that we know? And yeah, so that's why, that's why it's important to do your best to be the same. You don't even want to be like nicer than you usually are, because they definitely pick up on a change. For example, if you've discovered what's going on and that the person's been cheating on you or stealing or whatever it is, if you're in the habit of, or not habit, a pattern, I guess would be a better way to, of getting upset over certain things, you should continue to get upset over those things. The idea is to make it that there's not a change to notice. Because they do seem to be sensitive to that. Although, on the other hand, they also think they're smarter than everybody else, and that, and you're a moron, and you're never going to be able to figure it out. So, you do have that going for you. A lot of sociopaths are so invested in their own superiority that they don't even notice when that you may be figuring it out. But, they do send, that's why, every time people start to have enough, let alone if they haven't even found any type of lie or betrayal or anything like that, but, sometimes people, or you may have experienced this, where, you've just had enough, and you're tired of the games or tired of whatever's going on, and you start, pulling back, and then all of a sudden, they start love bombing you again, and, trying to make it so that everything is as nice as it was in the beginning, or whatever. So yeah, they pay attention to the signs. So the best thing you can do is to keep it the same. Whatever's been going on, just keep it the same, and then figure out what to do next. So Kinda says, this borderline narcissist woman I know loves to put restraining orders on people. Is that her way of having power and control over others? Yeah, that's obviously that's what this person is trying to do, is exert power and control over somebody. So I would say that yes, that's a possibility. Also, she's probably trying to extract something out of the target, and is using the restraining orders as a threat. Or if the involvement, whatever type of involvement it is, has already gone sour, it could be an act of vengeance. So any one of those things could be the reason why somebody would do something like that. Yeah, Marcia says, I feel it's important not to tell them you are leaving. Leave when they're gone only. Yeah, especially if there is the possibility of violence. And the warning sign is, if you've ever seen violence, it's a possible predictor that violence could happen. And it doesn't have to be violence towards you. If you've seen your partner or whoever the sociopath is engage in road rage or smash things or break things, if they've assaulted other people, even if they've never laid a hand on you, the fact that they have the capacity to be violent towards others or towards property means that at some point, if they choose to or get angry enough or whatever, the violence could turn towards you. So if you've ever seen any kind of violence, it's definitely important to leave when the person is not around. Oh, Marcia says you're listening to the book. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're enjoying it. All right, so Dana says, how do you locate a sociopath that does not live with you, but you have a child together and need his physical address to serve him for child support? Also, he hides its income under reporting it. Well, that's a two-edged thing. In all honesty, the best thing you can do is keep this person out of your life and the life of your child. Sociopaths make terrible parents. I assure you, he does not love your child. He has the capacity to be very damaging to the child. So if he's gone and hiding, in all honesty, I would let it go. And I would figure out a way to support the child yourself. Because, once you have that person paying child support, then the person wants to be in the child's life. And believe me, that's not a good thing. The best thing that you can do is keep the person out of your life. So, even though I'm sure it's a hardship, I would figure out a way to do without, to do without that income or that those payments. It's just not worth it. The best thing you can do is keep the person out of your life. And so if he's gone, great. I wouldn't recommend going to look for that person. Okay, well, that appears to be all the questions that we have for this evening. So thank you, everybody, and we will be back next week on Tuesday at 8 p.m. for the next episode of Lovefraud Live. Thanks a lot, everybody. See you then.